Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and thank you all for an epic response to my video on Tuesday about the wheeled vehicles and the first gameplay of the Panhard EBR 75. Now, I can't really update you with everything you need to know about this tank. If you haven't seen that video, go and check it out first, because it literally took me about half an hour to be able to get there. Nevertheless, I've played this tank a bit more since then, and I've figured out a few more things, and I've got some more exciting gameplay that I want to share with you today. So immediately, rapid travel mode. We've activated it, it slows us down a touch, but then it allows us to boost up to 80 kilometers an hour, and that's going to allow us to get into this bush first. I'm thinking, is the WZ-132 going to be coming up here? But no, the WZ actually gets spotted in the middle of the map. And I'm thinking, wow, I can't actually spot anything because of the very poor view range of this vehicle. And those T-44s managed to get to the F1 area before they got spotted, whereas in most of your light tanks, you'd probably spot them more towards the G2 area. So that view range definitely not working out for us. But we did manage to get here quicker than a different light tank would have been able to. So I guess, really, we kind of spotted those T-44s at the same time that the other lights would have. Now, that's something that I'm really starting to work with this tank, is that you can put yourself into an aggressive position, you can try and get that active spot at the start of the game, but it's best to not actually stay there. You want to move on and try and get somewhere else. And so that's what we're doing. We plow 2 rounds into the WZ-132. We see that he misses us. And what I'm trying to do here is just try and stay behind the vehicle where hopefully he doesn't have very good gun depression. And we're going to be able to put 1 into his back. And I'm trying to chase the second. Will we be able to hit it? No, not quite. I do a bit of an auto-aim around the corner there. But as we can see, we can reverse at the same speed that we can go forward. And so I was thinking, okay, try and bomb it out because maybe the T-44s are coming down the hill. Luckily, that isn't the case. And we see a T-44-100 on our team advancing forwards, so we put 1 more in and we finish off the enemy tier 8 light tank at the start of the game. And targeting the enemy light tank is so important. I think that that is probably your biggest counter inside a wheeled vehicle, and if you can manage to shut them down early, it's just absolutely awesome, because then you can control the vision and you can control the engagement. You're not getting spotted at long range, and you're pretty much going to see a medium tank at the same distance that a medium tank is going to see you. Now, this is a very awkward scenario. You can see I'm trying to penetrate high explosive rounds here, and because the T-44-100 is brawling with the standard B, that actually means that we're unable to land clean shots into the side of his vehicle. Now we do, however, although only for 4 damage. That's a little bit disappointing. Yeah, I really do have a lot of trouble with trying to penetrate these high explosive rounds against even what you would consider to be a lightly armored target there. Oh wow, we've got a damage warning immediately at the start of this game, but we do a boost right up because I want to go and try and hunt the enemy artillery. But with 75mm of penetration, but the opportunity to increase your alpha damage from 175 all the way up to 260. Oh, it's so tempting to load the high explosive rounds, but as we can see, it really didn't work out for us there. As we fired 2, we missed them, and then we even took a hit from the standard B that otherwise we probably wouldn't have if we had just been using the APCR. Nevertheless, we are going hunting right now, ladies and gents. We want to go in, we want to kill the enemy self-propelled gun, and that is what these tanks are going to be beautiful for. There he is. Alright. He hasn't even noticed us right now. Now he has. Too little, too late, bud. And those HE rounds allow us to do a nice 500 pretty much magazine, 520 magazine damage there to shut down the tier 10 self-propelled gun on our team and pick up, well, on the enemy team, not our team. No, I wasn't TKing artillery. Sometimes I want to, especially when they team damage me a little bit. but not this case. But yeah, tier 10 self-propelled gun eliminated, and my heavies have to be happy about that. But it doesn't actually look like our platoon is faring very well on the eastern flank against the platoon of Type 5 heavies on the enemy team, because they've already been shut down as a Type 5 heavy on the enemy team picks up his 2nd kill against them. Alright, high explosive rounds, not very good against the side of a T-44 there, and so you're seeing that these HE rounds, while they are very tempting, sometimes they're actually causing me to do less than I would have done if I was firing armor piercing, or APCR, as the case may be on the standard rounds. Now, these rounds have got awesome shell velocity, and that's probably the best thing about this tank. Look at that aim time. The accuracy, not too bad at 0.36 base, and you can see that I've actually been training up my special crew member that I got from some of the loot boxes, Simon Claus, and I've already managed to get him into a state where he's got eagle eye, and so I could tell that the German heavy tank on the enemy team had a dead commander. And when I know he's got a dead commander, that means that his view range is going to be very poor. And if his view range is very poor, then I don't actually have to worry about really getting spotted by him. So a great result there. Now the Lorraine looks like he was coming across and trying to hunt me, but a few evasive maneuvers allow us to get out of harm's way. And you can see that one thing that I've been doing as well is I've been actually releasing the W key a lot more in these wheeled vehicles when I do go round the corner. And that actually helps your traverse a lot. Now I do that in some of my tanks, but it's a bit less useful. I found that this vehicle has so much raw power as we nearly buck our way up the rock there that you do have to let go of the accelerator when you are turning the corners at the right time if you want to try and increase your traverse speed. And that limits the amount that you actually have to leave the rapid travel mode, and you can avoid using the cruise mode, at least, well, not altogether. You definitely still want to use the cruise mode for when you want to turn the vehicle around and for when you really don't need to go above 60 and you want to make those micro movements. But through conscious use of the accelerator, you can still enable your rapid travel mode to feel like it's got pretty good traverse speed. Alright, so the mid-game, it's still not safe. Both of our tier 10 heavy tanks have been killed and the enemy have not. So we're going to blind, well, we're not blind firing, we're firing on the move against the Lorraine here while dodging all sorts of shells. It's just little wiggles, left, right, and that allows us to avoid the Lorraine'S barrage. And it looks like we also managed to avoid a shell from a Type 5 heavy. God, that could have been a very different kind of highlight if that thing had hit me. But here we go, high explosive round, number 1 in, and we don't get to fire the second one in, but doing 270 damage with a single shot just feels absolutely epic for a light tank at tier 8. But then again, when I think about it, vehicles like the WZ-132 start to pack quite high alpha damage. I think you can use the 100mm on that vehicle with 250 alpha. But the fact you can put one in and then 1.5 seconds later you can put the second in just feels awesome. So this is the perfect situation for when you're playing in a French wheeled light tank. And that is that you can just bomb it around and you can control the engagement. And even though your view range isn't very good, when your team are lighting up targets, that allows you to know where the enemies are, and then hopefully you can use your mobility to avoid the others. So a defender on my team vanquishes the Type 5 Heavy, and it really looks like our tier 8s are carrying our tier 10 tanks in this game, but that's sometimes how it works out. Alright, so now we're getting up on an ambush here. You can see I leave the rapid travel mode. We put one into the Scorpion G. We miss the second shell. We're not quite ever putting in 2 complete rounds from our magazine in this game, apart from when we're firing point blank at the artillery. But when you've only got 432 hit points and no chance of being able to ricochet a shell from the Scorpion G, you can't really risk it. Alright, so the Scorpion G runs away. I've got high explosive rounds loaded. I know I'm not really going to do any damage to the back of the Type 5 Heavy, so instead I decide to just lock down his tracks, and I'm going to load some APCR. We lock down his tracks once more, and I try and fire one onto the back of the tank, but I realize I'm not very likely to penetrate it even with 180mm of penetration on my standard rounds, and so I just try and lock down his tracks to allow my medium tanks on the other side to be able to press towards him. Is the Type 5 Heavy aiming at us? Yes, he is, but he turns his attention now towards the T-44-100, and that allows us to put one round, this is heat ammunition now, into the side of the Type 5 Heavy turret, but even our premium rounds can't go through the side of that thing's turret reliably, and it bounces the second shell, even though we are loading the gold here and spending about 4,000 credits a shot. Alright, so the Type 5 Heavy turns towards us, and I get a casual drive up, and I fire at the part of the vehicle, and this is something that I should probably mention. That when you're firing at the side of the Type 5 Heavy, the spaced armor goes along the mid and the lower part of the hull. And if you imagine, can you see that there's kind of like this rectangle here? There's a rectangle here that you can shoot that actually has no spaced armor, and this is your best bet to penetrate the Type 5 Heavy with any kind of ammunition in a low tier tank from the side, or even a higher tier tank. If you get it angled like this, you've got more chance of going through here than you have really shooting the hull. And so all in all, another action-packed game here for the Panhard EBR 75. We get an All-X medal for vanquishing 2 enemy vehicles that were at least 1 tier higher than us, score a decent amount of profit with or without a premium account, and bizarrely enough, we actually managed to finish on top of experience and also on damage. But look at this. Look at our tier 10 tanks sitting all the way down the bottom of the list, and our tier 8s on top. Big shout out to you, Dramboa, for also having a big impact in this game. So now that I played this tank for about 70 or so games, has my opinion changed of it since my video on Tuesday? No, I still think that the tank is pretty balanced. Sure, it's capable of some ridiculous things, but there are some games which are just so incredibly frustrating to play in this vehicle. For example, the risks that you have to take to make these flashy moves. At any one point of the game, you can get caught out. Let's say the Lorraine just manages to track you twice. Let's say that Type 5 heavy shell just goes towards your tank rather than away from it. Bam, you're out the game. You're just so weak and vulnerable that for every highlight game that I want to show off on YouTube like this, I've probably got about 4 or 5 games where you kind of don't roll the dice in the correct way and you get shut down and go back to the garage very quickly. You have to take risks in this thing. I know that a lot of people are going to want to min-max the view range because they want to play it like a stereotypical light tank that also has flashy capacity. And I feel that the vehicle does very well at amplifying the successes of an average team, and it will also do very well with a good team that is clearly just going to steamroll the enemy team. But when you get into those games where your team just for some reason doesn't really know what they're doing at all, things get ugly very quickly, and it's an incredibly frustrating vehicle to play because you can't spot for your team with its low view range. It doesn't matter if you have all of the mobility, especially down some of Wargaming's corridor maps. But all in all, I'm still having a blast in the tank, and I'm looking forward to clocking up a few more games in it. I can't remember a tank where I've played 70 games in just a few days. Anyway, that's it for today, ladies and gents. Just wanted to get you some more gameplay of the Panhard EBR while it is fresh. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments if you've managed to see some of these tanks on the battlefield and how have they been faring. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.